Hey, it's Brett, and welcome back to my channel. It is 2025. I hope you all had great holiday breaks. Today, I want to talk about 10 books that I am really excited about that are coming out in the first half of this year. These are a variety of books, but things that spoke to me in particular. So hopefully, one or two of these might speak to you as well. My first book is coming out this week. It's Adam Hazlitt's Mothers and Sons. Adam Hazlitt wrote Imagine Me Gone, which I thought was simply fantastic. This one is equally terrific. It is about an asylum lawyer living in New York City who is in a relationship that seems kind of stale. He takes on a case and finds himself very drawn to the young man at the center of the case. In tandem with this is the story of his mother, who after divorcing his father years ago, she has moved and started a woman's retreat with her female lover. So the book goes back and forth between their lives. It is a real slow burn in the beginning, but where it ends up is fantastic. And I literally found myself sobbing at the end of this book. But again, this comes out January 7th, which is this week. But look for it. I think you're going to be seeing this in a lot of places. All right, next up is Fagen the Thief by Allison Epstein. This sounds so interesting to me, and this comes out February 25th. It's a thrilling reimagining of the world of Charles Dickens as seen through the eyes of the infamous Jacob Fagen, London's gifted pickpocket, liar, and rogue. I love a good retelling of a story. It's funny because I almost just grabbed into the air and said, like Wicked, which certainly is that, but that wasn't going to be the first thing I was going to go for. But I love the concept of this. This sounds really, really, really interesting to me. So can't wait for that. This is February 25th. Then on March 4th, Wild Dark Shores by Charlotte McConaughey. Charlotte McConaughey wrote this really wonderful book called Once There Were Wolves, which I thought was just great. So I'm hearing such amazing things about this one already. To give you a blurb about it, a family on a remote island, a mysterious woman washes ashore, a rising storm on the horizon. Dominic Salt and his 3 children are caretakers of Shearwater, a tiny island not far from Antarctica. Home to the world's largest seed bank, Shearwater was once full of researchers. But with sea levels rising, the Salts are now the final inhabitants, packing up the seeds before they're transported to safer ground. Despite the wild beauty of life here, isolation has taken its toll on the Salts. Raph, 18 and suffering his first heartbreak, can only find relief in his punching bag. Fen, 17, has started spending her nights on the beach among the seals. 9-year-old Orly, obsessed with botany, fears the loss of the beloved natural world, and Dominic can't stop turning back to the past and the loss that drove the family to Shearwater in the first place. Then, during the worst storm the island has ever seen, a woman washes up on shore. As the Salts nurse the woman, Rowan, back to life, their suspicion gives way to affection, and they finally begin to feel like a family again. Rowan, long accustomed to protecting her heart, begins to fall for the Salts too. But Rowan isn't telling the whole truth about why she set out for saltwater, and when she discovers the sabotaged radio and freshly dug grave, she realizes Dominic is keeping his own dark secrets. As the storms on Shearwater gather force, the characters must decide if they can trust one another enough to protect the precious seeds in their care before it's too late, and if they can finally put the tragedies of the past behind them to create something new. Ooh, it sounds really good. Okay, so that is March 4th. All right, now I'm taking a commercial break to put on my glasses. Okay, there we go. Commercial break is over. Then on March 11th, I kind of screamed, I got to be honest, when I opened this up because I really hoped I was going to get it, which is Stag Dance by Tori Peters. And thank you for Random House so much for this. Tori Peters, of course, wrote Detransition Baby, which I just thought was a phenomenal novel. about a trans relationship. And this is also dealing with stories revolving around gender and transition. In Stag Dance, the collection's title story, a Bunyan-esque lumberjack working in an illegal winter logging outfit recounts how the lonely and isolated woodsmen entertain themselves by planning a dance at which some of the loggers may volunteer to attend as women. Obsession, repressed desires, and betrayal weave together in this unforgettable tall tale, leading up to the big night as the lumberjack grows increasingly close to and jealous of Leeson, the prettiest young man in the camp. 3 equally visionary novellas surround Stag Dance. Infect Your Friends and Loved Ones imagines a future in which everyone must choose their own gender, the vengeful consequence of a rogue trio of charismatic trans women who destroys civilization as we know it. In The Chaser, a secret romance between roommates at a Quaker boarding school brings out intrigue and cruelty. In the last story, The Masker, a party weekend on the Las Vegas Strip turns horrific when a young crossdresser must choose between the 2 guides, a handsome mystery man who objectifies her in thrilling ways, or a cynical veteran trans woman offering unglamorous but stalwart sisterhood. Radical, witty, and gripping, together these 4 narratives coalesce to form a portrait of identity in crisis that unsettles and delights. I love this cover. So again, this is out March 11th. Next, coming out April 1st, is the latest book by David Soleil. Now, I've never read him before. I love this cover so much. And first of all, thank you to Scribner for sending me this. I first saw this book when I was on Instagram scrolling around and happened to see Sarah Jessica Parker make a post about the book she was taking home for, I think, a holiday weekend or something to that effect, or going away. Anyway, this was at the top of the pile. And so I thought, all right, Sarah Jessica, Miss Booker Judge, I am intrigued. So I began to look it up and figure out what it is, and I thought, oh, this definitely sounds really good. From critical darling and Booker Prize finalist David Soleil, a propulsive, hypnotic novel about a man whose future is derailed by a series of events that he is unable to control. Teenage Estevan lives with his mother in a quiet apartment complex in Hungary. Shy and new in town, he is a stranger to the social rituals practiced by his classmates and is soon isolated, drawn instead into a clandestine relationship with the older woman across the hall. As he struggles to understand the relationship, it rapidly deteriorates, ending in a violent accident that leaves a man dead. In the years that follow, Estevan is borne along by the goodwill or self-interest of strangers, charting a rocky yet upward trajectory that sees him move between jobs until he finds steady work as a driver for London's billionaire class. A collection of intimate moments over the course of decades, Flesh chronicles a man at odds with himself, estranged from and by the demands of his life and the roles that he has no choice but to play. Shadowed by the specter of the past, the tension between Estevan and all that alienates him hurtles forward until sudden tragedy again throws life as he knows in its jeopardy. Spare and penetrating Flesh traces the imperceptible but indelible contours of unresolved trauma and its aftermath, amid the precarity and violence of an ever-globalizing Europe with incisive insight, unyielding pathos, and startling humanity. Also, he's blurbed by Garth Greenwell, and I'm obsessed with Garth Greenwell. So this whole thing sounds like catnip for Brett. So hopefully this sounds interesting to some of you too. Again, this is coming out April 1st. Also highly anticipated in April, coming out April 8th, is Audition by Katie Kitamura. One Woman, The Performance of a Lifetime, or 2, an exhilarating, destabilizing Mobius strip of a novel that asks whether we ever really know the people we love. 2 people meet for lunch in a Manhattan restaurant. She's an accomplished actress in rehearsals for an upcoming premiere. He's attractive, troubling, young enough to be her son. Who is he to her, and who is she to him? In this compulsively readable, brilliantly constructed novel, 2 competing narratives unspool, rewriting our understanding of the roles we play every day: partner, parent, creator, muse, and the truths every performance masks, especially from those who think they know us most intimately. Taut and hypnotic, Audition is Katie Kitamura at her virtuosic best. April 8th. All right. Next up, on April 15th is Open Heaven by Sian Hewitt. Now, he wrote a biography a few years ago called All Down Darkness Wide, which I've had and have not read yet, and only have heard incredible things about it. So my task now is to read that and also to read this, because I want to, this sounds so good. So let me tell you about it. A stunning debut novel from the acclaimed young Irish poet Sian Hewitt, reminiscent of Garth Greenwell and Justin Torres, and the intensity of its evocation of sexual awakening. Set in a remote village in the north of England, Open Heaven unfolds over the course of 1 year in which two teenage boys meet and transform each other's lives. James, a sheltered, shy 16-year-old, is alone in his newly discovered sexuality, full of an unruly desire, but entirely inexperienced. As he begins to understand himself and his longings, he also realizes how his feelings threaten to separate him from his family and the rural community he has grown up in. He dreams of another life, fantasizing about what lies beyond the village's leaf ribbon boundaries, beyond his reach, autonomy, tenderness, sex. Then, in the autumn of 2002, he meets Luke, a slightly older boy, handsome, unkempt, who comes with a reputation for danger. Abandoned by his parents, his father imprisoned, and his mother having moved to France for another man, Luke has been sent to live with his aunt and uncle on the farm just outside the village. James is immediately drawn to him like the pull a fire makes on the air, dragging things into it and blazing them into its white-hot center. Drawn to this boy who is beautiful and impulsive, charismatic, troubled, but underneath Luke's bravado is a deep wound, a longing for the love of his father and the stability of family life. Open Heaven is a novel about desire, yearning, and the terror of first love. With a striking economy and lyricism that animate his work as a poet, Hewitt has written a mesmerizing hymn to boyhood, sensuality, and love in all its forms. An exceptional debut. Wow, I can't wait for this thing. I think it sounds so good. So again, that comes out April 15th. Then, on April 22nd, comes a historical novel that I think looks so fantastic called The Pretender by Joe Harkin. A sweeping historical novel in the vein of Hilary Mantel or Maggie O'Farrell, set during the time of the Tudors' ascent. The Pretender tells the story of Lambert Simnel, who is raised in obscurity as a peasant boy to protect his safety, believed to be the heir to the throne occupied by Richard III, and briefly crowned at the age of 10 as Edward VI. It's supposed to be very funny, and I don't know why, but I'm getting totally The Favorite vibes. You remember that movie that was so good with Olivia Colman? So, really looking forward to this. Again, April 22nd for that. Then, on May 6th, is a book that I'm hearing already so many rumblings about. It's called The Names by Florence Knapp. It's an extraordinary novel that asks, can a name change the course of a life? In the wake of a catastrophic storm, Cora sets off with her 9-year-old daughter Maya to register her son's birth. Her husband Gordon, a local doctor, respected in the community but a terrifying and controlling presence at home, intends for her to name the infant after him. But when the registrar asks what she'd like to call the child, Cora hesitates. Spawning 35 years, what follows are 3 alternate and alternating versions of Cora and her young son's lives, shaped by her choice of name. In richly layered prose, The Names explores the painful ripple effects of domestic abuse, the messy ties of family, and the possibilities of autonomy and healing. With exceptional sensitivity and depth, Knapp draws us into the story of one family told through a prism of what-ifs, causing us to consider the one precious life we are given. The book's brilliantly imaginative structure, propulsive storytelling, and emotional gut-wrenching power are certain to make The Names a modern classic. I think this sounds really good. So, May 6th, look for The Names. All right, then my last book that I want to talk to you about today is coming out May 27th. It's called Disappoint Me by Nicola Dinan. So I read Nicola's first book, Bellies, and absolutely loved it. And in fact, that year, which I think was 2023, it made my top 10 of the year. I thought it was so fantastic. It was a very modern relationship novel about a couple, and one of the members of the couple decides to transition and what happens. So, in her new book, Max is a published poet and grossly overpaid legal counsel for a tech company. With a lifetime of dysphoria and fuckboys rattling around in her head, Max is played with deep dissatisfaction during what should be the best years of her life. After taking a spill down the stairs at a New Year's Eve party, she decides to make some changes. First things first, a stab at good old-fashioned heteronormativity. Max thinks she's found the answer in Vincent, a corporate lawyer and hobby baker whose trad friendship may as well speak a foreign language, and whose Chinese parents never pictured their son dating a trans woman. This uncharted territory may have rough terrain, but Vincent cares for Max in a way she'd long given up as a foolish fantasy. Yet Vincent is carrying his own baggage from his gap year in Thailand a decade prior, an explosive entanglement with a mysterious, gorgeous traveler. Voice-driven, warm, and poignant, Disappoint Me is an exploration of millennial angst, trans panic, race, and the allure of bourgeois domesticity that asks if we are defined by our worst mistakes. Again, this comes out May 27th. I'm going to be all about this book, and I have a feeling this is going to be a really buzzy book going into summer. So there you go. 10 books coming out this first part of 2025 that I'm really excited about. I would love to hear from you guys what you're really excited about. So fill out my comments below with the books that you're looking forward to, or if some of these also strike your fancy. As always, thank you for watching. If you've gotten this far, I appreciate you being here. If you're new here and have liked what you've seen, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all soon.